Welcome to Peter and Roughie's Football Show. We're live on PLZ Soccer's YouTube channel. Delighted to be back for the new season. I'm Peter Martin, Tam McManus, Alison McConnell and Alan Rough back for our 10th season, Roughie. Usually nobody gets 10 in a row anywhere.
Usually if you stick together and don't fall out too often, you've got a chance. But no, we did a wee bit with the Euros and we hung on in there, as well as Scotland were doing well, but then obviously they failed miserably.
Yeah, listen, I enjoyed the summertime. I don't know about you, the Euros was great for the games that Scotland were involved, but unfortunately, you know, they get bombed out and then we had to look and see if Wales were going to do it. They get bombed out and then it was suddenly England.
It was, listen, I thought it was a great summer. I thought it was, the football was outstanding, the quality, the final. As you said, when Scotland went out, we were supporting everybody that was playing against England, to be honest. And thankfully, the Italians bailed us out at the end. It was a great final. Went to the wire. England were probably a bit unlucky, but Italians, I think, over the piece, were the best team in the tournament. Yeah,
strangely enough, though, Ali, you know, when everybody reflects on the tournament, England may well consider themselves unlucky. I thought France were going to be unstoppable, but the Italians played a brand of football that you wouldn't associate with them normally.
No, it's kind of a deviation from what we've come to expect from them. But after watching their first game, I actually thought I really fancied them. I thought they were excellent. I loved the way they played. I thought they had so much belief, a bit of aggression, and they were great to watch. They were, like Tam said, I thought it was a really entertaining tournament. I thought it was a fun tournament to watch and to get into. And you just wonder what it does now for a whole new generation of kids coming up and down, to have that focal point, the excitement around Scotland at a tournament, the inevitable feeling 3 games in when it's all the involvement's curtailed and over. But I thought it was great. It was really good fun.
Yeah, Roughie, I've never seen so many kids buying Scotland tops. It just shows you that there's a real groundswell of people longing for us to do well.
Yeah, I think that's why it's important that this next tournament come up, we do well in it. You know, you cannot keep a hold of these kids. You know, they obviously have never seen, you know, coming up against the quality of the other countries. And you know, we keep saying, yeah, we're on the right road. We are on the right road, but we've got 2 tough games coming up. So, no, I think once the supporters are allowed back in the stadiums, I think Hampden will be a buzz, you know, with all the young kids. You used to be giveaway tickets for them to get into fill the place, but now I think they'll be buying into it.
Yeah, how good is it, Tam, for us to be back here in the studio after 18 months of an absolute nightmare? And of course, if Alison hadn't been so snobby and standoffish, she could have won a substantial amount of money at the racing.
That's right, aye. She didn't want to back the one you back to 50 on. But no, listen, it's great to be back in. The only thing is I need to get up earlier. I used to get up at 2:30 and just go down to the house, down to my spare room, put my phone on. Now I've got to get up and get a shower and all that, and I need to dress.
You don't need worry. Let's hope you can still use your outhouse as well, Ali. It's looking good. It'll be.
That's where I'm moving in.
Yeah, absolutely, for the new season. Well, we're really looking forward to it, and of course we're going to try and give away as many prizes as we possibly can. So if you've got a chance, you could win yourself some great prizes, because, quite simply, if you subscribe to our PLZ Soccer YouTube channel, hit the subscribe button, hit the bell, and you'll get the notifications. As soon as you do that, you could be the lucky winner of this Sampdoria top that we have to give away. It's one of those retro Sampdoria tops from the bygone era when they were a fantastic side, and there is a player's name on the back of it. And if you, just below our live broadcast today, just put down who you think's the name on the back of that Sampdoria top. Now, if you think about the great players, Roughie, well, tell me a couple that you can think of.
Well, I would go, I'm not going to go for the obvious one because I've had a look.
Don't. But the point is, if you say somebody now, that means it's not the guy that's on the back of it, you chub. Right. I don't know why you mentioned that there.
Italian manager, Mancini.
Butch Wilkins.
Could be Butch Wilkins.
Mancini would be, what a prize that would be for someone.
Oh, it would be fantastic. Could be Sunis, could be Viekabod, Vialli as well. Do you remember him? There was a Brazilian, I don't know if you remember him, Tam Cerezo.
No.
He was a
Lombardo.
Attilio Lombardo, that is a great shout. So, quite simply, we're going to, all this week, we're going to give you the chance to hit the subscribe button and follow us on our YouTube channel. We're exclusively on YouTube all the way through the season, Monday to Friday at 4 o'clock live. And of course, you can watch it on your Sky network as well. Just go down to the apps, click on it, go onto YouTube, put in PLZ Soccer, Peter and Roughie's football show, and you're off and running as well. And we're really looking forward to that. Of course, we're mentioning being back here in the studio. I'm looking forward to fans, Alison, being back inside the stadium, because I was at the Celtic game when they played FC Michelin, and it was great to see fans in there. The atmosphere was great, even though there was only 9,000 of them. But there is talk that they're looking maybe in the English grounds for people to provide evidence of a double vaccination. I mean, I presume we will try and follow suit.
You would think so. Funnily enough, I had my second vaccine last Saturday, and the woman gave me an address to go and get your COVID vaccine and said to me, you'll probably be asked for this now for major events. But the difference going into a stadium with fans in it, even when it's not full. I was at Fir Park last Saturday and there were only 2,000 fans in, but it sounded like so much more. And I think even for us who have been working in it, you get used to the surreal nature of a stadium. It's echoey and you hear all the shouts. To have fans in it just feels like a completely different world again. It feels energised. You can feel the vibe throughout the crowd. I think by Christmas you would like to think there would be some way to get in full numbers back in.
Yeah, I thought maybe by the end of August.
I don't know if it will go quite as quickly as that, just given what we've went through over the last month. You would hope so, but I think it might just depend on what the fallout is over the increased numbers over recent weeks, and whether or not the government feel as though they can open the door, because I think you've still got substantial amounts of a certain demographic, the younger demographic, who wouldn't have been fully vaccinated yet. Yeah,
the only benefit I've enjoyed about it all, Ruffy, is you can saunter up to the ground in your car without any traffic.
10 to 3.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, you get in there and you think, I can park the car, there's no hassle. But I do miss the supporters, because, of course we can quote Jock Stein and football without the fans is nothing, but it really, I actually, this season, you'll be able to see it at Partick Thistle, it changes the dynamic of the way the players play football, because, see, without fans, I thought players at times reverted to the safety of a pass back rather than being brave.
Yeah, I agree with Alison. I think with the fans being away for so long, and now they're back, they're just so happy to be back. They're letting people away with everything. You know, say it's a bad pass, they're going, whoa! No, they're quite happy.
Easter Road the other night.
You were at the wrong game, I wasn't at that game.
Partick Thistle fans are like that, you know, they like to get back, but they're more
forgiving.
They're letting things that forgiving. Yeah, they are, you know, and they're just happy to be there and happy to see a goal or cheering for whatever. You know, and but it is, we only had 1,000 at ours, but it was nearly, obviously, the big stand, and what a difference it makes.
It's huge. I think the difference it makes is clear. I think even when the game's poised, you can feel it, the roar and encouragement and even just some criticism too. I think sometimes it has the effect of just generating a different kind of level of performance.
Yeah, Santa Coloma, was it? I mean, that was a game. That was a game and a half. 3 red cards, 3 goals.
They were the dirtiest team I've ever seen in my life.
Is that right?
They were just out to boot Hibs up half the park, and I think there was a red. I looked at the clock and there was 1 red card and 3 bookings, and there was 15 minutes played or something, and I'm thinking this could be tasty. And they were rotten. They were like a junior team, and. If Hibs never get the man sent off for nothing, Joe Neal, never touched the boy. The boy rolled about, and I think Hibs would have won that game 5 or 6-0. But the away leg, I think it'll be interesting to see what kind of. I wouldn't be sending Martin Boyle over there in Nisbet. I think the tie's done, and I think on a wee AstroTurf park over there, I think they'll just do the same again. I think they'll be trying to boot Hibs off the park. So. Interesting to see what sort of a team Jack Ross sends over. Yeah,
and I can just say at this point, apologies to all junior sides. Not all junior sides. not all junior sides are ranked rotten the way Tam is. 10 minutes into the show and he's managed to alienate himself from every junior team.
Hatchet men of the juniors.
Absolutely. It's something that'll annoy somebody, I'm almost certain. And of course, this season, more than anything, I'm really looking forward to you getting involved with us and joining us on our YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe to PLZ Soccer's YouTube channel. You can win yourself lots of prizes. This week we're giving away that Sampdoria top. It could be yours. It'll be on its way out to you if you're one of the lucky ones chosen who's subscribed and mentioned the name that you think's on the back of that shirt. So good luck with that. We talked about fans getting back in, COVID passports, whether they're going to take them or not. And there's lots of football and lots of exciting signings to come. That's what every manager looks forward to, trying to get the players that he's asked for, Roughie. But also every fan gets excited because they want to see, whether it's in social media, in the newspapers, on the back pages, on programmes like this one, players that have signed for their club.
Yeah, and obviously Celtic is a big discussion, and if you'd read the papers from Friday to Saturday to Sunday to this morning, I think Celtic have got 25 players coming in. You know, it's when they come in, you know, and who they are and where they're from and everything. So I think the Celtic supporters will be hoping there is something getting on behind the scenes. You know, and I know how difficult it is to sign players, but when you're a supporter, you're right. You want to pick up the paper. You want to maybe not know the guy that's coming in, but you want to be associated with anybody. You just don't want to see your best players leaving, but you certainly want them to come in.
Yeah, well, listen, if you're going to be honest about it, Tam, you know, when you look at the clubs and the players that are coming in, those that are potentially going out. I mean, the Morelos one just, I feel as if I've been talking about it for years. Same with Edouard, that's another one that's just dragged on. But there will undoubtedly be players that have contributed to the Scottish game that will be on their way. I mean, even Naismith could be right up until the death someone that somebody takes a punt on.
Yeah, definitely. I think if Edouard leaves Celtic and Morelos leaves Rangers, I think if you're looking at Scottish football, you're looking at a striker, a young striker doing well. You're looking at Naismith. I know John Brown was at the game the other day. I was speaking to him actually, so I don't know who he was watching, but it wouldn't have been any of the Andorran players. So I think he's there maybe just keeping tabs on people, just in case people leave Rangers. But as you said, Morelos, well, it'll be this summer. I've been saying it for 3 or 4 seasons. I think probably now's the time. Cedric Itten, I think, has done really well in pre-season. Is it time to push him forward into that main striker role? I don't know. Celtic, Edouard, I think he's been wanting to leave for 18 months, to be honest. You can tell the way he's played. I don't think his attitude's been great on the pitch, so I think Celtic, last year his contract, will want to sell him now. You don't want him to run his contract down and get nothing for him, so I think that Edouard and Morelos will be leaving. Yeah,
and a few of my mates have been sending me texts just saying, you know, the Rangers fans said we beat Real Madrid, so it's Champions League winners this season. I mean, if you look at the contrast, Alison, and when you're talking about two teams who are going to be vying for the league, there is calmness around Ibrox. There is still what I would think is a worry, a general apathy, an uncertainty around Celtic.
I think so many of the frailties that were evident last season are still there. I think they're still visible. I think you can see what the manager's trying to do. You can see the kind of football he's trying to implement. The problem is he just doesn't have the personnel yet to be able to do that. I think there are numerous questions and question marks in the week leading up to the season and while you've already began the European qualification phase. I think the entire backline has questions over it. I think and the goalkeeping position has been a headache for 12 months now. I think all 3 goalkeepers at the club have had an opportunity to take the position. Neither have made a compelling case for it. And I think you're still seeing all these issues that need addressed. By contrast, Rangers have come through a pre-season unscathed. It's been affirming in terms of where they are. I think the game against Real Madrid, I think you can look at the teams and you can draw your own conclusions from it. But it wasn't a bruising encounter. It was quite the opposite. It sets them up. It whets the appetite for European football. Celtic, by contrast, were thumped by West Ham, and it just exposes the problems that are there.
Yeah, I mean, Roughie, I may as well listen. This programme this season will annoy a few people. We're going to try and be as honest as we possibly can, be forthright, be balanced. Something I think we've managed to maintain over those 9 years. I think Celtic could go out this week because I watched him in the home leg, and if he perseveres with Barkas, I think he's on a hiding to nothing. No harm to the boy. He's not good enough for Celtic. And as Alison mentioned there, not only the back 4, I think they're light in the midfield, and I think with the players that potentially could be going out the door, you know, he'll be hoping that some of his signings can somehow fill and plug the gaps.
Yeah, I think at this moment in time you have to be brutally honest. As Alison said there, Celtic are a mess compared to Rangers. I mean, Alison's already said Their back four or back five or back six are all established players. Their midfield are all established players. They've got 5 strikers, you know, and if Edward leaves, what are Celtic left with? Ayeti and Griffiths, you know. So unless things in a month's time change so much, you know, the Celtic supporters, and it's must be worried, because you can't come off a 6-2 hammer and say, don't worry about it, we'll get it right next week.
Yeah.
You know, you can't, you're not going to get away. You're not going into the game with confidence. You're not even going into the game with a settled 11. I mean, Alisson's touched on the goalkeeper. Can anybody have a guess what the back four is going to be? I mean, you've got 3 boys in midfield who are decent, but then up front, you don't even know who it is that's up front.
Yeah, I think it'll be the same back four that played against West Ham. I don't think they've been anybody else.
No, there's no options, but Tam, they've been linked with about 4 or 5 right backs. They've had 2 or 3 failed attempts for Aaron Hickey to come back from Italy. So that tells you they're still looking for a left back. You've got a situation where Ayers waltzed out the door, Starfelt's come in. And then, you know, Christopher Julian, I saw him in the stand in the game, so he's going to come back. And you've got Welsh. And the boy is Dane Murray.
18.
He's too young.
Yeah.
So you're looking at that back line. And when I spoke to the manager after the game, I had that feeling of a man who has come into something that maybe is not what he thought he was coming into. And I think, apart from anything else, they handled the whole Eddie Howe thing. It was a shambles. This guy's second choice, and this guy, you know, he wants him to play a certain way. We've got to give him the benefit of the doubt as a group, as journalists and broadcasters looking and saying, okay, you know, build your side. But he must be worried about what he's witnessing, because he's already had a pop at everybody by saying, well, we're a wee bit late in the transfer. There are players that we should have got in, and they didn't. And I think somewhere along the line, somebody's wrapped his knuckles.
I think his hands are tied behind his back at the minute. I think he's obviously looking, his body's in. I mean, you look at Anthony Ralston, Hartman, you know, he's been at Celtic for years, he's never established himself, he's playing every week at the minute.
Yeah.
You know, Taylor on the other side, decent pro, good pro, but for Celtic, you know, and the 2 young boys are only kids really, and for a team like Glasgow Celtic, you're needing, look at Rangers' back four. You know, Croatian international, James Tavernier, you know, you have the top players there.
Yeah.
And I just think they're miles, and the goalkeeper as well, they're miles ahead still. So Celtic need to sign a left back, a right back, a centre half, a goalie, and that's just for starters for me. And Roughie's right, up front, you know, Griffiths is still a cloud over him. Ajeti, never really convinced by him. No. And I think Edward will get the door, so
I forgot
there's so many players to come in.
I forgot all about Ajeti there.
Yep.
I mean, it's incredible. Alisson, listen, without absolutely, I think the manager deserves the time to build it, but I don't think it's his fault. I mean, you look at the whole hand. I mean, he's mentioned Griffiths. It just goes on and on with the boy. I don't know how many lives he's got left. But for me, his contribution over the last 2 or 3 years does not merit even another deal, long before the troubles of the last month materialised. I have never known a board to make such turn everything that was positive into a shambles over a 2 to 3 year period.
Your first point to take is that I think everything that we're discussing here we could have discussed 4 months ago or 5 months ago. I think you could have made an argument about the goalkeeper, about a right back, a left back. I think everyone knew that Ayer would go, everyone anticipated that Edward would go. All these issues and the need for these positions to be reinforced has been evident long before the qualifiers and long before the summer came around. You can understand the manager being frustrated, and you can understand what he's saying, because it's a hand behind his back with a massive job in front of him. To go back to Lee Griffiths, I was surprised when he got the extra year. I didn't think it would come. I didn't think he'd done enough. I think there's been a substantial financial reduction in his contract, but you have to question where he is in terms of the attitude to his career. He's 30. You saw him at Hampden the day that Scotland were playing in the opener. You must have thought, what's going through his mind? A boy that could and should have still been out there. You're given a reprieve, a second opportunity, and within 2 minutes you're back on front pages and making headlines for all the wrong reasons.
But he's been booed. I've never witnessed, I can't think of the last Celtic player to be booed by the home support.
I think patience has quite clearly ran out. I think there's been so many instances. You could go back to where he was barely in the door at Celtic when he was in trouble for the Rudy Scatchell singing for the racism incident. It landed him in serious trouble with the club. He spoke about that with us in the season where he scored 40 goals and spoke about waking up one day and the letter coming through from the club basically saying, you know, you're in a final written warning here, you don't step out of line. He seemed to recover from it, and then over the last few years there has been a catalogue of incidents, but I think up until recently, I think he still maintained the trust of a section of the support who still looked to what he's done in previous occasions, still believed he had it. I think what you saw at the weekend was the first indication that all of that trust is dissipated. It's gone completely.
Yeah,
it's amazing how things have changed, because when he was banging goals in, nobody was pulling him in or anything.
But that was 3 years ago,
I know
Roughie.
it was. He was tying flags to goalposts where people should have said, hey, and they let him away with it. They let him away with everything. They never hauled him in at all. But now he's no scoring goals. And we all know if you're not scoring goals and you're not doing the right things, you're going to get it.
Yeah, the other thing about it, Tam, I'm going to talk about the other clubs that are in Europe, because it's so important for us to see, you know, Rangers, Celtic, Aberdeen, Hibs, St Johnstone. I want to see the clubs out with Celtic and Rangers to try and get to a group stage. Just one of them. It could be worth £3 million to one club.
Yeah, it is. Listen, I think, obviously, talking about Hibs, I think they've got Rijeka in the next round. Croatian team, I think Aberdeen took care of them a couple of years ago, 3 or 4-0. So, and then you're into a playoff. So there's nothing stopping. You know, every year you see clubs in the group stage and you think they're no bigger than Aberdeen or Hibs or Hearts. They're no bigger, even St Johnstone. And teams for Ireland getting in there. You know, Dundalk a few times, Shamrock Rovers. So I think we've got to back ourselves more, and we've got to demand that we get in the group stages, because I think we've got the players and the size of the clubs, you know, and in European terms, I think that Hibs, Hearts, Aberdeen are pretty big clubs still. So I think you've got to be looking to get in the conference division. I think is the probably easiest one. I think obviously you've got the Champions League, Europa League, then down to the Conference League. But as you said, the conference group stages is 3 million if you get in it.
Yeah.
And for Hibs or Aberdeen or St Johnstone, that's big money.
All the other teams get a spin-off.
Yeah.
The teams down the division, the first event, when Celtic were doing particularly well in one of the European clubs, I think we got 300,000 as a payment from UEFA, whoever it is. So I would expect that scaled all the way down. So the success for them is great, but the success for every other teams is just the same.
Yeah, absolutely. And the only problem I do have with it all, though, is I was speaking to Xander Clark the other day there, and you know, he's still in cloud 9 after. I said to him, "Can you believe you've got 2 cups? You've got 2 out of the domestic trophies in your cabinet." He was absolutely high as a kite. But from their point of view, they could face Galatasaray.
I know. It's a really tough record, a really tough journey for them to try and get through. But as both of you have mentioned, I just think the knock-on effect for everyone, it gives life to the season. I think apart from bringing money into the game, and which has a benefit to everyone, I think it just energises the whole campaign. I think it gives you something extra away from the domestic games. I think everyone gets quite excited about it. I think it just brings so much to us. But I think we should be having more representatives. I think we should set the bar a bit higher than what we expect. We should be seeing teams getting in and try and compete. We've seen it with some of the Irish team, with the Welsh teams getting in recent seasons.
But you get in with better players, Ali.
Of course.
That's our game. Sometimes I feel as if has been elevated to a point that it's just not at. I mean, if anything, the last 10 years has highlighted how far we've fallen. Possibly 20 years, but certainly in the last 10, how far, to the point where none of the other clubs can get into a group stage. Yep. So they need better players. But suddenly I look at St Johnstone, I think to myself, can they hold on to Rooney? Could somebody be taken from the 2 centre halves? Could be gone? And you're saying to yourself, if he can hold on to them, and suddenly Callum Davis has got a chance with that back line to build something and sneak a result against. If they managed to get through 2 legs with Galatasaray, what a lift that would be for everyone. Completely.
It's really tough. I don't think you would expect, if we were being honest and you look at it on paper, you're going to expect Galatasaray to prevail. Can they cause another upset? We certainly hope so. But the real problem for Scottish teams too is just the timing of games, of when they come, when you're still trying to prepare your team, when you're still trying to introduce 1 or 2, when you might have players whose heads are turned by what's going on elsewhere and whether or not there's going to be any movement. So it's never going to be easy. But I think essentially what you've learned over the last decade is that you go into these qualifiers pretty much with the squad that you finished the previous season with. The preparations, you have to get into the habit of starting your preparations for this in January, in February, and looking ahead to what's coming and the magnitude of the games that you know are coming.
Yeah, for one moment there, Ali, I thought you were going to slip up. I thought, can you perform another up shit? And then I thought, no, she's avoided it. Well done, Ali.
Thankfully, it wasn't even in my head, otherwise it might have been.
in Zoom, but not here.
No, exactly, I know. But the other thing I was going to say, Tam, is I had to watch Aberdeen. If anything, to see Scott Brown in a red shirt. I mean, I looked at it and I thought to myself, Aberdeen, there's a wee bit of excitement starting to brew up there, I have to be honest with you. Let's be honest about it, it was only BK hacking. I'm not playing it down, but they hammered them and Brownie had the cigars out. Because if ever a man has actually got all the Dons fans on side after one game, it's him.
Yeah, definitely. I think they're doing them a bit of disservice. I think they're a decent side. I actually played against them for Dunfermline many years ago and they beat us.
Yeah.
So listen, they're a Swedish top flight team and I think that was a great result for Aberdeen. I think the key thing is scoring goals. I think that's been a problem over the last season, 18 months under Darren McManus. Fans were bored. They were bored stiff.
Yeah.
And Derek would just play the same team every week, and there was no changes. I read Stephen Glass actually listened to him in an interview and he said, I'll be picking my team on training. Guys that are doing well in training, doesn't matter about the Saturday, you're doing well in training, you'll play. Yeah. And he had a few changes, a few people you wouldn't think would have played against Hacken, and he put them in. 5-1, great result. Big boy Ramirez from MLS got his goal. Jet up front, so I think Stephen's looking to bring maybe in another striker and keep a hold of Ferguson. I don't know if he'll be able to keep a hold of Lewis Ferguson because that is the big one for them. I think he's very good. I think he could play for Celtic and Rangers, but I think Aberdeen are looking for 4 or 5 million for him.
Yeah, well, I think that
without doubt.
I think the ship sailed now on any Celtic and Rangers getting a hold of him, to be honest with you. But if they can hold on to him this season, Roughie, I tell you what really excited me about it was, Brown's in front of the back four, so he's protecting and he's roaming about and allowing Ferguson to bomb on, which was great. I love Hedges. I think Hedges, if Hedges has a wee bit of belief, he could. I'm not saying he's in the same class as Peter Weir or Ian Scanlon when they played for Aberdeen, but there's something about him with his left peg. But the boy that he's just mentioned there, Roughie, Ramirez, I mean, if anything, J. Emmanuel Thomas forces you to go long. But when he's up there, he's an absolute, he's a powerhouse, and Ramirez looks great, Roughie.
I think the boy for Livingston will cause problems. If you think of the goals he scored with Livingston, there was some spectacular goals for such a big guy, a big physical presence. And as Tam says, maybe they do need another striker, but that is an interesting point because Ferguson said that with Brown now sitting behind him, he can push forward more. And I think last year he wasn't as effective as what he was the year before. The year before he was getting forward and he was scoring goals. I think he maybe had a different role to play last year, but now if he's going to get forward, I think you see him scoring more goals.
I think, Peter, as well, if you look at the signings they've made, Stephen wanted to bring men in, and he's brought them in. Declan Gallagher, captain, Brown, Ramirez, Jet, J. Emmanuel Thomas. He's brought in real experience in there and he's trying to strengthen the spine of the team.
Yeah.
And I think he's got Ross McCrory in there as well. And so I don't think they'll be bullied this season. I think they'll be big and strong, but I think they'll have a wee bit about them as well and they'll go and attack. So if I was an Aberdeen fan, I think I'd be really excited about the season ahead. Yeah,
and their chairman Dave Cormack says that they've got another couple of players that they want to get in, so that's good. I mean, for me personally, Alison, I want a strong Aberdeen. Mm-hmm. I want an Aberdeen that can go and take points off Rangers or Celtic. We need a third force. We also need a fourth force. I think it'd be great if we could have that. But Aberdeen have got the potential to be a strong side. Absolutely, and I think it benefits everyone if you have the most competitive league that you can have, where it's a tough ask to go up to Pittodrie or to go to Tynecastle and come away with points. Without doubt, it just benefits the whole environment of the league. And I think maybe just it's a question of belief. I think once you build a bit of momentum, once you start getting results on board, I think it just aids to that feeling that it buys into the atmosphere that's there, and it makes you believe that you can protect what you've got, that you're hard to beat on your own turf. Yeah, I think they're calling him up there, Roughie, Brunner. Now they're not going Bruni, they're going Brunner. The Dons fans have changed the
Twang.
chant. No,
Aberdeen twang.
they've changed the chant. I think they're just being defiant about it all. I can't remember, and somebody will need to correct me here, because I didn't get to see the game from the start. Did they do a huddle?
I didn't see the game from the start
I
either.
didn't see.
No, because I think he's going to try and implement that. I don't know if Brunner can get away with it. But listen, they're going to play either Austria Vienna or Breidablik of Iceland, Roughie. So there's a real chance for Aberdeen to do something.
Well, it certainly looks a better proposition than Galatasaray. You
Yeah.
know, I think obviously the Austrian team used to have a bit of form in Europe. But, you know, I think Aberdeen are the biggest failures of all the teams. You know, the breakaway Rangers and Celtic throughout the years, they've been disappointing. You know, I think the fans expect them to go a wee bit further in Europe. So this could be the year that they maybe just get a wee bit further.
Yeah, fingers crossed that they do that. Incidentally, we are live on YouTube Monday to Friday, 4 o'clock. You can subscribe to our YouTube channel. By subscribing today, you could be in with a chance of winning our, well, it's a retro top, and it has a retro name on the back of it. All you have to do is hit the subscribe button, hit the old bell if you want notifications of when we are live in some of our unique content and our live coverage over the course of the season. Come up with the name of a famous Sampdoria player, and we'll pick out one lucky winner at the end of the week, and that top will be yours. And I can tell you we're doing a feature as well, which will give you the chance to win your favourite team's top this season, because it costs a pretty penny to buy the kit. Tam, I don't know what it was like for you when you were a kid buying tops, but it's there's not much change out of £100 nowadays for buying the whole kit.
I seen that. I seen the Man United strip the other day was £100 just for the strip, just for the top down there. I mean, it's unbelievable. I remember Robert Stores. Don't know if you remember that, and the old Trongate. I used to go down there and get all my strips.
Yeah.
And I used to get all the Italian, the Parma strips, and the Dortmund strip and all that. So, no, I just said it's quite expensive to buy strips now for your kids, and luckily I've not got any.
Yeah, well, absolutely. But you
I know of.
could buy your mates. You know of. There's a line, Roughie.
We've actually,
Hello?
believe it or not, we've actually got a woman at Partick Thistle. She can't go to most of the games, so she watches the game, streams the game, and she acquires every Thistle strip throughout the year.
Wow.
And we were playing last week there, a midweek game, and the big boy Kevin Holt got his shirt ripped. Somebody pulled his shirt thing when we were sitting watching the game, and Jerry Britton's phone went, and it was her, and she says, "I'll give you £100 for that shirt that's ripped." That she's watching the game on stream.
Yeah.
So Jerry says, "No, 120."
Jerry, I know you wouldn't have done that. But listen, that's the fanaticism of it. I mean, it's great. Hopefully, and I don't want to put you out of a job, Tam, but hopefully, you know, we get to a situation we were talking about. It's been great seeing the stream aspect of it and people still being able to watch it, but just getting them back in, just seeing that enthusiasm that people, they love it, they miss it, the things we took for granted. European games, I mean, if we could get a run, we were talking about clubs out with Celtic and Rangers, if we could get a run where suddenly we're excited about Rangers in the Champions League, Celtic, if they can make it to the Champions League, brilliant. A Hibs and Aberdeen or a St Johnstone in Europa League or Conference League. It just would galvanise the whole thing for everybody.
Yeah, I think it's important. As you said, I don't think they've done enough. Your Hibs, your Hearts and Aberdeen over the years. Celtic have flew the flag mostly by themselves over the last 3 or 4 seasons. Rangers now, over the last couple of seasons, been excellent in Europe, and now they're getting 2 teams getting coefficient points. But as you said, if Hibs can get in there, if Aberdeen can get in there, St Johnstone, the coefficient goes up as well.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, you might, in 2 or 3 years' time, you might have 2 teams automatically in the Champions League. And it might just take a Celtic or Rangers to have an off year, and maybe a Hibs or Aberdeen, you know, could go and have a go at it.
Yeah.
You know, if there's 2 places up for grabs in the Champions League. So that's what I'm seeing in the future. I'd love to see that. But I was at the game the other night with Hibs. I think there was 4,500 there, and as Ali said, the atmosphere was magic.
Yeah.
Great to have the fans back in. Every refereeing decision they were cheering, and the goals went in, and players were celebrating with the fans, running over and celebrating with the fans. And it was so odd because the last year they were celebrating themselves and running to the fans. It was magic, and as you said, hopefully in the next couple of months you'll get the full crowds back in.
Yeah, absolutely. You can contribute to the programme over the course of the season as well, because we'll be giving away, I mentioned, quite a lot of prizes, and if you download the PLZ Soccer app, there is basically a little category called submission. Go in there, record your message, and if we use you on the show, we'll pick out a few winners over the course of each week, and we'll be sending you something special. So that's not to be missed as well. It's just basically a chance for you to record yourself offering your opinion on your team, an incident, something that you are happy with, or indeed something that you're not happy with. So by submitting it, we will put it out on the programme as well, and you can become part of the programme. Simple record, upload it, and you're off and running. But download the PLZ Soccer app. You'll get all the latest news, Scottish, English, European and world-breaking football news. And if you hit submission, you can record yourself and give us your thoughts on your team over the course of the season, and you'll be on the show. Simple as that. We're giving away the retro Sampdoria top. What's the name on the back of the shirt? And if you know, you hit the subscribe button on YouTube and then post down below on our programme the name of the player that you think it is, and you could be a winner of that by the end of the week. Good luck with that. Okay, I don't think Celtic are going to make it. I think Aberdeen and Hibs will make it. And then I'm looking at the other two sides. Suddenly it'll be Malmo or HJK Helsinki. My gut feeling is it'll sway towards Malmo against Rangers, which I think from the 3rd up to the 10th, those two legs will be played. I think Rangers will really fancy themselves, Sally.
They should fancy themselves. I think the only aspect might be just how much further on Malmo, if it is, Malmo might be in terms of their season. But I think they look as though they're in a good place just now, Rangers. I think they look as though they're ready to just pick up where they left off last season. You don't have an issue with confidence. You don't have any question marks over the mentality of the squad. It's very settled. And I think the portents look good for them ahead of the campaign. They've also had very good European experience. If you look over the last two campaigns, who they've played against, acquitted themselves against very well. So I think they'll feel quietly confident going into that one.
Yep, and of course they're not going to unfurl the flag. Quite unusual, Roughie, but I can understand why Rangers have changed the flag unfurling to, I think it's September 18th against Motherwell. Rangers against Livingston, they will have a fair few fans in. I think it's 18,000, which would be great. But they kick off, the times are going to be unusual, Roughie. 1:30 they kick off on the Saturday, Rangers against Livingston.
Yeah, I think fans now have just got to get their head round that the Saturday 3 o'clock kickoffs, as far as the top division is concerned, are out the window now. You know, and it's been like that down in England for ages now. You know, they've been playing Monday nights and Fridays and Sundays, and so. And I think the supporters are just initially. I think the supporters will be just so happy to get a ticket and get in to watch it. And we said that at the end of the season with Rangers. Why did they not wait to celebrate winning the league until the whole stadium was full? And that's obviously why they've done it, you know, to make sure it's a full stadium. Yeah,
I'm a wee bit worried though, Tam. I didn't realise when I was putting the press accreditation in for Hearts against Celtic, it's 8 o'clock on a Saturday night. So my first Saturday back has been goosed right away, because 8 o'clock, I mean, by the time I get out, I mean, I'll be in a queue for Buster Brown's. You know, so
Is that back open again?
I'll be outside the kebab shop, the one that you frequented. I mean, it'll be a nightmare. 8 o'clock on a
I know,
Saturday.
it's a weird time, isn't it, to go and play. As I say, thankfully it's not a full crowd, because I can imagine all the Hearts and Celtic fans in the pub on that day.
Oh, yeah.
Going to the game at 8 o'clock, absolutely blittered.
Were you surprised by Naismith deciding he was going to hang his boots up? That caught me in the hop.
Possibly. I think that he's obviously getting to the tail end of his career now. He's looking to the next step, and it's probably coaching. I don't think he's the same player as he was. He was an absolute fantastic top player. But when you get to that 33, 34, 35 stage and younger boys start running by you, and maybe you think to yourself, right, maybe it's time to do something else. So I think it's great that he's still involved at Hearts. He's a leader. He's played at the highest level for club and country. So for the youngsters at Hearts to look up to a guy like that, him coaching them, I think is great.
Yeah, absolutely. The Jambos, I'm looking at the new additions. Charlie's just managed to start this season the way he finished last season. He's pinging his 40-yarders, he's scoring goals. Dundee, I'm really excited. I'm looking forward to them. They obviously have a cracker of an opener against St Mirren.
I was thinking that when Tam there was talking about lads in their 30s and running past them, I thought Charlie Adam was one of the standout players last season in the Championship. Every time I saw Dundee half a dozen times, and he was fantastic, he was great. So, yep, good, exciting times. I think everyone's just desperate to get back to some semblance of normality, get fans back in. I think in years to come, I think you'll look back at last year as a real aberration, as something quite surreal when you look back, maybe in 5, 6, 7 years' time, and remember what it was like going to games with no fans, and you'll have players coming out and talking about it a bit more in depth to what their experience was. I think everyone's just hungry to go back and experience that again, and that was my surprise when I heard that Steven Naismith had retired. I thought maybe just one more season to properly bow out, like
absolutely.
To go in front of people, even in front of your own friends and family, and get the send off that for someone like that who's had a pretty illustrious career, that you think like to get a send off in front of people.
Yeah, the only problem I have with Charlie is I wonder, and he mentioned, not that I'm suggesting for a minute there's going to be the problem, but he did mention it, Roughie, is yep, he's going to go for another year. Charlie was thinking about hanging the boots up, but suddenly, you know, that buzz of bowing out in the top flight. The only problem is, like Scott Brown, and you know, when you get to that 34, 35, suddenly the younger ones think, there's a scalp, I'll be on your heels, I'll be kicking away at you. And Charlie is the one player in Dundee that every opposition manager will be saying, don't give him time in the ball or he'll kill us.
Yeah, that's definitely what's going to happen. You know, I really do hope that Charlie's worked on his fitness, because the fitness levels for the Championship to the Premiership are completely different. I noticed it yesterday with St Mirren. You know, the level of fitness, you know, these young kids that you're talking about, they're so sharp, they're so fit. You know, and of course, if you give Charlie time, he's going to destroy you. But you're right. You know, in the dressing room, it will be nearest man to him. He's yours.
Yeah.
You know, so he's got all the ability. We know he's got all the ability, and we know he's got a shot in him to score a goal. So I think it's all about fitness with Charlie, because the midfield is, you know, the main part of most of these teams in the Premiership.
Yeah, I don't know about you guys. This is obviously open to yourself, Tam. You can give us your own feeling on it. Ali will have our own tuppence worth to throw in. Last year's head-to-head was fantastic because the meal was brilliant when Roughie took us out for a meal. It was fantastic, Tam, wasn't it? I feel we should open it up to everybody and have about 7 or 8 of us in.
I had a fillet steak pasta.
Yeah.
The most expensive pasta on there. I just felt like I'd pick that.
It's the first time I ever went into a restaurant and didn't think when Peter was ordering, I didn't know there was 5 courses.
I think Peter V did dessert. I couldn't eat any more.
No, we had everything.
We had the big prawns to start and all that, the king prawn starter. Oh, it was even better when it's free and it's lovely.
You've got to be involved this year. I mean, honestly, you know what it's like sometimes when you've lost it for a fair few years. You won it by a point. That's how lucky you were. But Ali, this year, are you in?
I'm in.
Yeah, brilliant.
Regano.
It will be if you lose.
I told you, China buffet king of alleys. Eat as much as you want.
There's no point in asking you, Roughie, right now. I'm going to wait to the end of the week who you think is going to win the league, who's going to be second, all that stuff, because Ross County are still in the league, Roughie, so you'll be picking them to get relegated.
Yeah, I think I will. I haven't been impressed with his signings at all.
Is that right?
He's now saying that Blair Spittle is his main player for him this year, and Blair Spittle was outstanding, whereas I wish we still had him. But if he's going to be the main man, then I think they're going to struggle a wee bit.
Well, strangely enough, I mean, Malky's a good coach. This is the big test. We'll get some good we'll get some good managers in the division. Stephen Glass has got a lot to prove. He's got the whole city buzzing. You know, we mentioned Malky. Graham Alexander's got a bit of work to do at Motherwell. I feel as if I think they're a wee bit short.
I seen them against Airdrie the other night on the telly, and I thought they were really, really poor. Credit to Airdrie, and Ian Murray's a big pal of mine. Done his homework, and they got a great result. Scored 2 fantastic goals, but I was really, really disappointed with Motherwell, and they need players in badly. I'm looking at their squad. I looked at their bench. I think he needs 5 or 6 in, and where did they get him in before the window shuts? I don't know. I know he signed one from Southampton. I think he signed the boy today or yesterday. So I still think,
Slattery,
Slattery. So he needs bodies, but big game next Sunday, I think it is. Hibs travel through there, Motherwell for the first game, so be interesting to see how that game goes.
Yeah, absolutely. We're looking forward to the start of the new season. Hopefully, day by day, you join us. We'll have a fair bit of banter, lots of features. Gabriel Antoniazzi will be joining us with lots of live interviews, and of course, he'll be around the country joining us on the programme. You can join us too. You can download the PLZ Soccer app, and you can record in the submissions section exactly what you feel about your side, players, performances, anything that's bugging you. We will be putting your thoughts out on video. All you have to do is upload it. It's a fairly straightforward process of going into submissions, record it on your phone, and then send it to us, and then we'll put them out on the programme. It will be a feature where the fans get the chance to view and offer their opinion on some of the things that have happened in Scottish football and beyond. If anything that floats your boat, we'd love to hear from you. That's in the PLZ Soccer app, but don't forget to subscribe, because we're exclusively now on YouTube all the way through the season, Monday to Friday at 4 o'clock. If you don't get it live, you can watch it later on. You can certainly get it on your telly as well. Roughie, just hit the apps. I know you've been all over that as well. Hit the apps, hit YouTube, and hit PLZ Soccer. Look at Roughie there looking.
You get there, that Nokia?
The telly, this is a telly we're
Well, we're on the
talking
telly. Roughie, you can get all that in your smart telly,
I'll
can't
get
you?
somebody to help me to do it.
Yeah,
I can get on
absolutely.
it, yeah.
Another thing as well, which just before we go, guys, the Premier Sports Cup, the early rounds is basically, I think managers are delighted that they've been able to get players out in a competitive sense. Some of the games have fallen foul of COVID, and I think that's disrupted the whole thing. But suddenly we've got to the business end of this tournament now in the second round.
It's quite harsh in some respects. You know, teams being awarded a 3-0 win on the back of other teams not being able to fulfil the fixture and whatnot. But yeah, you're at the knockout stages now. I think it starts to generate significantly more interest. I think the early rounds are always just about getting teams back out and bedding in new signings. It's an opportunity for managers to almost, I wouldn't say a pre-season game, because there's a competitive element to it, but you're still trying to find your feet in terms of the cohesion of a squad at that point in the season.
Yeah, St Johnstone defending the trophy. It sounds funny to say that, but fair play to them. They're up against Arbroath. Celtic against Hearts has been the plum tie that's come out.
Yeah, definitely, and some tasty ties in there. I think Kilmarnock travel Easter Road as well. So, as you said, I think a lot of the clubs kind of treat it as a pre-season. You know, and I was speaking to somebody last night about it, associate with East Kilbride, and you look at East Kilbride in the Lowland League, they're in there and they're getting great money. You know, they think they finished third or fourth, 20-30 grand for that. You know, for teams in the Lowland League who are lucky enough to get in there, it's fantastic money for them. So, no, I think it's great. I think it beats playing pre-season games. There's competitive games, there's something on it, there's points at stake, there's money at stake. And as you said, St Johnstone, double winners, defending both cups this season.
Yeah, you mentioned East Kilbride there, one of our old boys that's come on the programme on more than a few occasions. Roughie, Chris Miller, he's just had one last year where he wants to still play football. Chris, he's still a super fit lad though.
Yeah, we played them pre-season. I had a chat with him. You know, he's still the same Chris Miller that we all know. You put him on the ball, he can ping it like Charlie.
Yeah.
He can spread the ball about, you know, and he'll be a big asset. And I think a lot of these teams now are beginning to show a bit of ambition, which I think is good for the football. East Kilbride, the Kelties. And I think the teams in the lower division, the second division teams will get a wake-up call, you know, because they've been in that league for so long and never under any threat whatsoever to follow out the association. And now these teams are now pushing and spending money.
Yeah, absolutely. The main focus of our attention on the football show will be, of course, Scottish football. Every now and then we'll get your thoughts on English football, European football, as we've been discussing, with a Scottish slant to it. And we'll look at the world stage. The World Cup in Qatar is coming up next season after the joy of the European Championships. Hopefully we'll get fans in on a large scale, albeit they'll be sweating bullets because it's going to be mightily hot out there in Qatar. Not quite as hot as it is in our studios at the moment, I was going to say, because Tam is sweating like a sumo wrestler right now. But over and above that, Ali, just looking at it, if anything, listen, in Scotland we know our place. We know that we don't have a lot of money, but most of the European clubs will be looking at the money spent in England with envy, worry, because Chelsea and Man City fought out the Champions League final. I thought maybe 3 or 4 years ago it would be dominated by English clubs. I think it's going to be worryingly dominated by them over the next few years. Raphael Varane expected in at Man United. Man City talking about spending 160 million on Kane, and not forgetting they want to try and sign Jack Grealish.
I agree. I think too, you look at what's happened in France this year, I think there's been chaos with the TV money and the rights money, so it'll be a bit more impoverished in comparison to what it's been used to. The same, there's been issues in La Liga, but I think English football has the most lucrative TV deal, and when you have repeated exposure to the latter stages of the Champions League, you're drawing in, one, greater finances, but two, an ability to bring in players at the very, very top level to enhance the image of the league and the reputation of the league.
I'm worried, Roughie, on the basis that when you look at the big clubs who usually contest the latter stages of it, you look at Barcelona. Barcelona have offered Messi a deal, and that deal basically is a reduction in wages. I'm sure he doesn't lose money over the longer period, but nevertheless, because of the debt they have, they're going to have to offload 2 or 3 big players to try and finance all this.
Yeah, you can look at on the football side, the success over the years has been absolutely unbelievable. You know, and obviously when that happens, the supporters take their eye off the financial side of it. You know, but the people in the know what the financial side of it is, and they're the ones that should be looking after it and trying to take care of it. But it doesn't seem to be the case. They've just thrown it out there for the success on the park, and as long as you get the success on the park, people will put up with the deficit and the money. It's when you stop having the success that they have, like the Barcelonas and the Real Madrid, people start questioning who's taking care of the finances here.
Yeah, absolutely. I wonder how long and how sustainable this all is. It will become abundantly clear to us as the season progresses. Who gets to the latter stages of the competition? Will it be again dominated by English sides who are able to spend vast amounts of money on key players? The one thing I think is going to become evident this season, Tam, and something that we've all relished over the last decade, is the last few years of Ronaldo and Messi, because they've been an absolute joy. They can't go on forever. I'm not so sure they can go on at the absolute top level, producing it. The goals scored, the assists have been absolutely sensational, and I don't know who the next Ronaldo or Messi is, because I don't see it as Mbappe or Haaland or any of them. There's, you know, maybe the boy Pedro might emerge, but I don't know.
I don't see it either. I think we're blessed that we've seen those two guys at their peak. I think they're two of the best players that's ever played the game. And it's a competition between themselves also. Every season, I score this amount of goals in the following season. Ronaldo matches it, Messi matches it, the Ballon d'Ors, Champions League. Obviously, Argentina just won the Copa America, which was fantastic for Messi. The first time he's ever won anything with Argentina, which puts him on that pedestal with Ronaldo, who won the Euros. So they just keep going at each other. But I just think probably now, maybe it's probably last season, next season, where they're at that very elite level. And Mbappe, I would have said, would be the next one, but I thought he was shocking in the Euros. I thought he was terrible and had my money on him, I know. So I was watching him closely, but he's probably the only one. Haaland's more a striker, a goal scorer, but Mbappe's got the potential, but he never had a good Euros. Yeah,
it just needs to be somebody special. I think they come, I don't know, do they come every generation, 10, 15 years, Ali? I don't know. I mean, when you look at it and when you think of it, Pele in the 60s, then Cruyff emerged in the 70s. In the 80s, Zidane, Maradona, the 90s as well. I mean, you had some really, really special players, but there's 2 or 3 that hit the elite, and then there's everybody else that follows them, and I'm not sure there's somebody coming.
You think that? I sometimes think that we help to build people up to get there. I think Messi and Ronaldo are on a different plane entirely. I think the two of them, I think, would be impossible to separate in terms of ability and talent, but also sheer professionalism. I think you look at Ronaldo and he's still hungry enough to be going out and keeping practising and keeping on top of your fitness and keeping the six-pack. It's extraordinary. But the dedication of it is just remarkable. To have the hunger, after you've achieved so much, to still have the hunger to keep going, I think it is extraordinary. And I think they're very individual. I don't know that you'll see similar. I think also part of it is your character and having a wee bit of charisma and having a wee bit about you. For Ronaldo, I think it's maybe put people off at times in his career, but I think it's interesting when you see that you've got a bit of arrogance. I think you need it if you're going to go to that level. You probably need it.
Yeah, you need that arrogance, Roughie. You had it when you were at Thistle.
I think it's even harder for these mega stars to appear now with the way the game's going. You have to be really, really exceptional to be a Messi or Ronaldo, because it's a team game now. You have to have that something special that nobody else in the team's got, or you're not going to get in it.
And on that point, Roughie, as we get ready for talking about Scottish football on a regular basis on this programme, who in particular, is there a player that you're thinking, I'm really looking forward to seeing him play this season, or is it too early, you're going to wait till...
Scotland?
Just in Scotland, in the Premiership in Scotland, is there a player that you think, I'm really going to look forward to seeing
somebody from Thistle there, wouldn't he?
Yeah, I know, exactly.
No, we've not got anybody yet. If Ian McCall says we're going to have 3 players this week, I'd love to know who they are.
You're going to phone me the night again. Exactly.
No, I think it'll be some of the new signings, because I think it's always interesting. Like, Rangers are bringing boys up for England that we all know who they are, like the Roughs and that. And I think it just might be a signing that none of us know.
Yeah, the one guy that was just coming to mind was the boy Fashion Sakala, who's looked as if he was a player, scored a great goal against Real Madrid. I think the Rangers fans are excited by him. He's somebody that might excite, a lot of fans in Scotland once they see him if he lives up to the hype.
I think everyone just gets excited about a new addition. I think if you're going back to the games, it's the cusp of a fresh season. I think everyone loves to go and see who's come in, have a look at the new signings, see what they bring. I think, but yeah, on paper he looks like a decent signing, a good addition to the squad. And I think anyone that has an attacking verve to them gets people in the edge of their seats.
Tam, anybody that springs to mind?
I think Sakala as well. I've seen his goal against Real Madrid, and by all accounts he was superb yesterday. Yeah. Youngish guy, 23, 24.
The boy Abada at Celtic looked good.
Yeah, scored the goal, he's obviously one as well. I'm trying to think any of the other teams have brought anybody in. Not really, so I think you're looking at them. But Sakala, I think, is one that Gerard's getting excited about. You can tell the way he's speaking about him, that he really rates him. Yeah.
Are you going to go and see as many games as Ali and myself over the course of the season, Roughie? Will you get out there?
I'll be at Partick Thistle games, yeah.
Anybody else?
Well, unless it's another
Do you get free drink? Do you get free drink in Alan Rough?
No, I'm afraid the boardroom hasn't opened yet with COVID.
Okay.
So we're just mixing it with everybody else.
Well, listen, yeah, exactly. I'm absolutely delighted that we're back. I'm delighted that we're back here in the studio. Hopefully you are too. Hopefully you'll be able to join us on a regular basis. We're on at 4 o'clock. Every day, Monday to Friday, we'll bring you managers' interviews, player interviews with the teams that obviously want to allow their manager and player to be interviewed. And we'll get right across the Premiership. And we'll get your thoughts as well. Don't forget, download the PLZ Soccer app, hit submissions, record your thoughts on your favourite team. There are prizes to be won. You can win that Sampdoria retro top if you can tell us the name on the back of it. All you have to do first and foremost with this competition is subscribe. Hit the subscribe button. That means you're in the hat, and I'll be picking out a lucky winner. And below the programme, you can post your message if you think it's going to be a Viekabod, a Mancini, a David Platt. It could be a Graham Souness. The name is on the back. All you have to do is tell us what name it is. We'll pick out one lucky winner by the end of the week, and that top will be on its way to you.
Make sure you don't get two-footed.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Tam. You're worse than him. And we'll also be giving you the chance to win your team's top from the Premiership in Scotland. We'll be giving away lots of prizes over the course of the season, so hopefully you're going to join us live at 4 o'clock. If you can't, then just get on PLZ Soccer and click on the latest show, and you can watch it at your leisure in your own time. You can download the app as well, and you'll see it live on the PLZ Soccer app or whenever you want to watch it. So there's lots of ways to join us. There's lots of things happening. I'm really excited about the team we've got this season and what we're going to offer you. So tell your mates and subscribe to the channel. But on a very hot day when the boys are looking sweaty, Alison looks as cool as ice as ever. From Alison, Roughie, Tam McManus, Tam still sweating away there. And from myself, Peter Martin. Thanks for watching.